Get in the picture. I am your host, Sharon Hooker, the Style and Body Confidence Coach and the creator and the founder of the Get in the Picture movement. And if you are ready to get into the picture of your life, physically and metaphorically, if you're ready to stop erasing your history, ready to stop playing the waiting game, and you're ready to show up and be seen with style and confidence, then you're in the right place. Let's go. Hello, everybody, and a huge welcome to Lisa Fox, business mentor. She's actually my business mentor, so it's actually very special to have you on, Lisa. And I suppose the reason that I had you on is I've really seen how you get into the picture physically and get into the picture in your life as well. And I just think that you have a background in theatre, music, and you bring all of that to your business. And I suppose just to ask you, when I say get in the picture, what does that mean to you, or what does that kind of bring up for you?
Okay, so thank you, first of all, for having me. This is an honor and a privilege. So what does getting in the picture mean to me? I mean, I think a lot of people imagine that because of my background, Sharon, it, it's easy for me,
Yeah.
like I was an actor, a musician, in the past, and I guess I still am. I will always be a performer, but a lot of people kind of think, well, you're somebody because of your background, you obviously got into that because you like that sort of attention and whatnot.
Mhm.
And honestly, I don't think anything could be further from the truth, because for me, like being a performer, the hardest part was actually attention. There's a reason I was an actor and not a presenter or an influencer. As an actor, you always sort of have a mask and you have something to hide behind, essentially, and you're not really bringing yourself into the picture. And so
Mhm.
for me, having this business has really been a masterclass for myself into actually bringing myself into the picture. Who I am, the full me, no mask. And I say that, and I'm fully aware that it's also, I think, not ever really fully possible to be completely yourself in front
Mhm.
of an audience or in front of a camera. But that is what I try to do. That is what I strive to do every day. And if I can get better at that as I go along, I think I'll have done a better job.
Yeah, and that is very interesting because you because say, oh, it's easy for Lisa to because I'm not Lisa, I couldn't possibly do that, but it's easy for you to do it because of that. But as you say, it is very interesting that we have you have that mask and you are you mean you're a different persona, I suppose, and you're not yourself when you're acting. You bring yourself to it, but you're not yourself.
Yeah. And like with being an actor, there's a real opportunity for self-expression in a very different way. But in business, when you have a brand, when you have a personal brand
Mhm.
that's based on your person, on who you are and what you look like, and all of those things, it becomes a very different thing. So like when I think of really, this idea of, which I love, by the way, I love your whole Get in the Picture campaign. And I think it's so important for every single woman, because I don't think there's a woman out there who doesn't have some sort of insecurities because of, like, I think DNA, I think witch wound, I think, like conditioning, all those things.
Yeah.
But for me, getting into the picture, I think the biggest moment for me where I really decided to get into the picture from the point of view of like what you're doing in your campaign
Mhm.
is taking selfies for my business.
Yeah.
That was very challenging initially because um my mentor at the time said to me, like, selfies are going to do so much for your business, actually, probably at this stage, and probably on Facebook, way more than a professional photo shoot will do. And I remember thinking, cringe. Oh my God, I can't think of anything more embarrassing than posing for a selfie that I'm taking myself. Like, how ridiculous would I feel doing that?
Mhm.
I remember actually just making the decision. And it was when she said that, I was like, okay, I can do that. I can, even if I'm not good at it, even if I do think it's cringe, even if I don't know how to do it, taking a selfie is something that I can do
Mhm.
and get into the habit of doing. And if it's going to be beneficial for my business, I'm in. Okay, right. Let me figure this out. And and I very quickly got over myself, and
Yeah.
actually started like seeing myself differently, behaving differently around it, feeling less embarrassed about it. And very quickly after that, I had so many women asking me, "Oh my God, how do you do that? How do you take those selfies? Like, what gives you the confidence? How do you know what angle to do it at? Like, what way do you hold what camera do you have? What way do you hold the camera?" Like, you know, and it became something that was quite fun. And now, I mean, I would say it took me a long time to do this, but now I would absolutely take a selfie in public.
Yeah.
You know,
Of all the things to be doing in public.
I know, like going out, like even, and I would say there's still a bit of embarrassment sometimes. But so my office here is in my back garden, and it's all window here, and I don't have any blinds yet. So there are my own house and two, at least maybe three of my neighbors who can absolutely look in at me and what
Yeah.
I'm at in here. And I've got my little stand there, and I'm like, doing my poses
Strike
and
a
going, okay,
pose.
no. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll take about 20 selfies to get the one that I like. But if anybody was looking in at me, they'd be like, what is she doing? But I don't care anymore. And for me, that's getting in the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is interesting because I was at what's it, Pendulum in Dublin. I think is it Stephen Covey. I think he's the habits of successful people or whatever. But he was speaking about that picture, that the closeness of it's actually not even a far away selfie, it's actually the closeness of your face. And it really, I suppose for a personal brand, it instills kind of know, like, and trust, and that it's actually really, really powerful having that. And I know it is. It can be a bit cringe, but on a serious side, then what I do think it's giving other people permission. The more we normalize it, and the more we see it, and the more we don't just show up on our good days. And as I say, yes, I'm dressed up today, but am I always dressed up? No, but it doesn't mean I'm any less. You know what I mean? So it's about seeing the good, the bad, and everything in between, and just normalizing it. Because when you are, say, you're doing a selfie on your business page or your personal page, whatever, I think it gives permission to other people to, and it normalizes,
That's great.
realness. And when I say real, I mean, you know what I mean, as in everything is real, like whether you're dressed up, whether you're not. It just, I think it's really powerful, and it gives women permission, I think, to show up for themselves.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. And that's something that so many women have said to me, because especially when I started taking selfies first, I was at that time when I started my business, I had a child at home, like 3 years old, but I had a newborn baby as well.
Mm.
So, and I didn't have time for like hair and makeup and stuff like that. So I literally would get up in the morning with a massive head of curls, throw it up into a mom bun at the top of my head, which
Yeah.
it actually looked all right. I rock a good mom bun, put on a small bit of lipstick and a bit of mascara, and away I go. And that was a lot of my selfies at the beginning. And I think it was like that, exactly that. Okay, like I'm these days, especially more in my 40s than I ever was when I was younger. I'm happy in my skin. I feel better about myself these days in the last few years than I have done. Like, even when I did look better when I was younger, when I was prettier, when I was thinner, I feel better these days. So I was able to do those selfies and feel okay about it. But you could still see that I had the mom bun. You could
Yeah.
see that I didn't much of a screed of makeup on me at all. And that is exactly it. Like I had so many people saying, well, if you can do that, I can do
Yeah,
that too.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
when I'm fully dressed in my glamour, in my whatever, it's like, why am I stopping myself from taking pictures when you're showing me that you can just decide to do it? And I think like, and I don't know if this is maybe one of the questions that you were going to ask. Forgive me if I'm jumping ahead, but
It's okay, jump, jump.
um, I think there's something in like I'm really inspired by younger women these days and their ability to like really show up and shine
Mm,
in their body as it is right now. Like when I think about when I was in my 20s, there is not a snowball's chance in hell that I would have, never mind, like take a picture of myself with a belly top on.
yeah,
I
yeah.
would not have worn a belly top. I wouldn't um, I wouldn't have like the things that I probably could have worn, the confidence that I could have had, the
Yeah,
like self-worth that I could have had
yeah.
when I was that age. And I look at these women now who are like all different shapes and sizes and just owning it and like rocking their bodies in whatever shape that they're in and being so confident and so and it actually inspires me now as well. Like I look at them and I go, oh my God, well, if you can choose that for yourself, then I can choose it for myself right now. Like, even though whatever, I'm 44, whatever. It's just like it really does inspire me. It gives me so much confidence. It gives me so much hope. Um, for my daughter, especially. I'm
Yeah.
like, yes.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And it is like, I suppose I have a daughter as well at 17, she's older. But it's kind of, it's my hope for them is that they wouldn't, I always think of us as a, kind of a pizza, you know what I mean? A slice of a pizza. And our body is one slice of the pizza, not like, 9/10 of the pizza. It's one slice of it. And at the time wasted on and the things that we maybe didn't do. You alluded to the things, the thing, because we were, and when you look back, and what I suppose what is so infuriating is you look back on those photographs and you gotta go, oh my God, like what was the waste of time about? So it's kind of trying to, I suppose, forward, or and I do think even now it's never too late. It's absolutely never too late to get into the picture and do things that you want to do, and getting outside your comfort zone. Um, but you spoke about there, Lisa, about you're more comfortable in your body now. What have you worked on that? What is it? What is it that has brought you to that point? Is it something you've kind of proactively worked on, or what is it?
Yes. And I think it also happened kind of naturally. Like,
Mm,
I'll be honest, Sharon, I don't think that I'll ever get there in
mm,
terms of like actually feeling totally comfortable in my skin,
mhm.
totally like, oh yeah, like whatever size I am, I'm happy. Like I'm not gonna say that because that's not true for me. Um, and well, like I hope I do. I hope like I see like incremental bits of progress, but and absolutely I've worked on it over the years. Um, as I say, part of it is like seeing young people today really embracing themselves, no matter what size or shape they are,
Mm, mm.
and actually just choosing
Yeah,
confidence and choose, that sort of like, I'm not going to let this one piece like hold me back. But it's not, it's actually beyond that. It's like it's not that they're not going to let this one piece hold them back. It's like I'm going to love myself and I'm going to rock this and I'm going to have a great time in this body that I have. And my body is beautiful.
mm,
I
mm.
think part of it is also, I don't know, like having kids. Like,
Yeah.
and it sounds cliche to say, like, when you realize what your body can do, what it can endure, how strong you are,
Mhm.
uh, like, and not just that, even just from a physical appearance point of view, like, I look at my body now and it's not so bad. I go, well, I've had two kids and I was stretched down to here with one of them in particular. And I look at my body now and I'm like, Jesus, like, it's bad. It's not bad. And it only makes me a little bit sad that I didn't appreciate what it was even before I had kids. But it's that it's just you get older, you get wiser, you realize yeah, it doesn't fucking matter.
I don't, yeah,
It's just
it's
like
the time wasted. I think it's something like, I can't, is it 90? I can't even remember the statistic off the top of my head now, but it's something like, oh, 90 minutes a day. Yeah, it's 90 minutes a day women spend thinking about their body. And I'm kind of going, and I'm not trying to, because I'm like you. This is a journey for me, and I'm always moving the dial. I am like, the dial has been moved. I mean, I weighed myself worth in the scales for decades, and it's so. But I don't think I'll ever get to the place that I think, oh my God, I don't see my thighs. I don't. But it's what I'm not willing to let it me anymore, what I'm not willing to stop myself from doing, what I'm not willing to, you know what I mean? So it's for me, it's that I can see
yeah.
I've got a belly, I can see my thighs are bigger, I can see when I go to buy clothes that they're a size bigger. But it's what am I choosing to make it mean?
It's there's something I was talking to my sister about at the weekend, and it's weird and it's kind of fucked up, right?
Yeah.
But I sometimes find myself, as you say, spending time thinking about, oh, I want to lose weight now, or like, oh, if only I looked like that. Like when you're looking outwards
Mhm,
and when
mhm.
you're thinking inward, you're like, thinking in here and you're like looking at everybody else, comparing yourself, whatever. And I find this with both like my body and my face. That this is what I was talking to my sister about. I spend time thinking about, I'm like, I might go for the Botox now. Maybe I will. Do you know? And like, oh, like looking it up, researching it, like, going, maybe a little bit of lip filler, wouldn't be any harm. Actually, I think I'd feel great now if I did that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I cannot tell you that when I look in the mirror, I'm actually going, oh, I need Botox. I actually have to say and fully admit and fully own it. When I look in
Yeah.
the mirror and I actually am just literally looking at myself, I'm looking at my reflection going, I'm beautiful. Like I'm
Mm.
actually, like I'm perfect. Now, and I don't mean that in a conceited way. It's just like,
No.
what else do I want? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
look
yeah,
great.
yeah. I know, yeah.
And everybody, I'm like, well, who would want this? Like, look at these boobs. Look at it. Do you know what I mean? I think this is why it is so important to actually, no matter how you feel, get yourself in the fucking picture.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
when you go in the picture and like that, you're like feeling good and you're not overthinking it, whatever, and you just like you look back at those pictures and you go, actually, I look great.
I
And
know.
there's nothing wrong with that at all. But it's the thoughts
Yeah,
that we're thinking,
yeah, it's
not
thoughts.
even looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you do you feel that's because I know you're a very stylish lady, and do you feel that
Thank you.
style? Do you feel that like when you it's something that you put on and you kind of do you use style, I suppose, to kind of help you get into the picture? Do you use style to to increase your confidence?
Yes and no. Because I so I'll get in the picture anyway, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I will, whether I have makeup on or not, whether I am wearing something stylish or not,
Mhm.
I will jump into the picture for sure, right? Um, and I love style. And style is very, very important to me in my life because it does make me feel on top of the world. It's one thing like that I know that if I'm feeling in any way, I don't know, anything bad, I just put on a good outfit, put a bit of makeup on, and I instantly feel better. Um, but like if I think of like my favorite photos, some of them like this, it's a mix. It's
Yeah,
never the outfit. It's
yeah,
the moment.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
the moment.
yeah. And I suppose that's one of my taglines is style is a feeling. And yes, I use it as a tool, but like not all, usually as in not all, usually not all the time. And as I say, when you look back on pictures, especially if you think of pictures of loved ones, like you don't remember what they were wearing. Usually you don't remember what they're wearing. But yes, absolutely. I personally do feel if I put on like I have heels on today, just because I can they I'll have my slippers on in a few minutes. But it just for me, it's kind of like my Sasha Fierce. It's kind of I've got my heels on, I've got my and that is me in my zone, and I use it as a tool to empower me, to do things like this is probably outside my comfort zone a little bit. So it's kind of giving me that oomph and giving me that confidence. But yes, I agree with you. Tomorrow or later on today I won't be, but it's when you look back on the photographs of loved ones, it's the memories, it's the feelings, isn't it? It's that you get
That's right.
from
And
photographs.
I think that, when you exactly like you just said, when you dress up, there's a power that comes with that. And it's internal, but it can be felt externally, So like, for example, uh if I'm doing a launch for my business and
Mhm.
I'm doing maybe a series of live videos or masterclasses or whatever, you bet your ass I'm gonna bring the sparkle. Like
Yeah.
I am like make sure and it's not about like I know the thing is that people will buy whether I had my mom bun and a pair of sloppy jeans on or whatever, or whether I was dressed up. But it's the power that I feel,
Yeah.
the energy that it puts
Yeah.
me into, that the clothes and the makeup and everything, that's what it has an effect on. And like again, like I'm going to be doing my, can you believe it, my very first ever photo shoot next week or the week after next. And like that in itself is like a bit of something to think about. Anyway, but of course, like I'm like thinking about what I'm going to wear, and
Mhm.
like for me, it's one of the most important things is.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I'm doing this to represent my brand. I'm doing this to really to portray and to be perceived as powerful, but not because the clothes will make me perceived as powerful, but it's how I'll feel in them that'll bring that out.
Can I ask you a question about the photo shoot? So I have which I have yet to launch. So I have archetypes for the Getting the Picture campaign, and one of them is Selfie Samantha. And just tell me if you resonate with Selfie Samantha, not on every level, but just so Selfie Samantha loves taking selfies because she can kind of orchestrate this setup, as you said, delete the 10 or the 9 or the whatever. And it's kind of a little bit about having control over, and then we'll have I just again not putting words in your mouth, but how will you find when someone else is taking photographs and you can't see yourself? Will that be something that is you feel more
That's
vulnerable?
why I haven't done it.
Yeah,
That's
well,
why I haven't
yeah,
done it.
okay.
It's,
You are Selfie
it's
Samantha.
yes. But I was saying to my photographer the other day, I was like, we had a meeting, like a planning meeting, and I was like, this photo shoot is not going to work if you don't let me see the photos as we go along.
Okay.
And she was like, okay. And she was like, I do. I let my clients see the photos. I was like, okay, Grant. And I was like, and also, what's more?
While
I
we're
was
at
like, this,
it.
yes, while we're on the subject, I was like, I need you to, like, in order for time saving purposes, direct me, like,
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
me like, what to hold, like, but you pull my shoulder back or drop my hip or whatever.
yeah.
I was like, I'm good at that kind of stuff. And I said, we'll get a lot more achieved, without me having to direct myself by looking at the pictures all the time. Um, and she was like, yeah, okay, all right. And she was like, but sometimes when I do that with people, it takes them too much into their head and they're
Mhm,
thinking about
mhm.
how, and they're not free. And I was like, I'll be fine.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
should tell
yeah.
her I'm a selfie Samantha and I'll give her
Yeah.
the archetype and say,
I love it.
here's a photo.
Love it, love it. And is there anybody that you look at, either that you know in real life or that you look at, externally, that you feel kind of you can feel the vibe that they're getting into the picture? Is it somebody maybe that you've seen in your life, or I say, a celebrity or somebody that you feel that really epitomizes getting into the picture? Or what is it that you might admire about somebody, or say, wow, they're really owning it. They're really
Um, oh, okay. Well, I can give you an example of somebody who used to and now does.
yes, I love it. Okay.
So my sister used to not put herself in the picture at all, and like
Mhm.
she'd shove you out to the front of the picture.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very well used to being shoved to the front of the picture anyway because I'm so short. So people use me as a really good like prop to hide themselves behind, which I hate. But so she used to do that, and she's seen the light. Like she has seen the light,
Yeah.
and she absolutely gets into the picture now, and she's so much more confident, and feels so much better, and and dresses differently, and
Yeah.
sees herself differently now. um what I really admire is like there's some coaches that I really admire, and it's maybe because I don't see myself this way, but when they're quite elegant.
Yeah.
You know, ones with photos, and they all look like a photo shoot, and they're black and white and softened, and they're like
Yeah.
and they just
Poised,
look
is it
so
poised is the word, isn't it? Poised.
nice. And I think that the word, that's not a word that people that I would associate with myself, is poised.
Yeah.
But I thought that, oh, like what do people do? I don't think that's the question you're asking me. I think I've gotten off
That's
point.
okay.
Um, but I admire, like I do find myself, I think it's like what I said earlier about the young people,
Yeah,
you
young.
know? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
like when I see these young folks on like TikTok and on like all the platforms, and
Mm.
they just seem to have this level of self-acceptance and self-love
Yeah.
that would have been totally radical. Like, can you imagine if when we were that age, we actually, now I know it's partly an Irish thing maybe as well,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like that age, actually just allowing ourselves to own any sort of spotlight, even
Mm.
for a second.
Mm.
And so when I see them now, I'm just like, oh, you've got it figured out. And I know there's a whole other thing that comes along with all of that. And I also don't envy kids
That, yeah,
with social
their
media.
pressures as well. Yeah, 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 yeah. But
Yeah.
what you mentioned, I was laughing because when you were talking about your sister, she's my reluctant Rachel.
Right, go on, tell me about reluctant
Oh,
Rachel.
reluctant Rachel is that, it's kind of like I was reluctant Rachel. I remember on one of our family holidays when we were older. It was kind of our last family holiday. So I was like, probably, I could have been 21, 22. And I remember like there was a bear, and I remember running behind the bear. And somebody, I was telling the story one day, and the eyes were out like this. And she was like, "Was it a real bear?" I said, "No, it makes for a better story, but it wasn't a real bear. It was a carving cut out in Yosemite Park in America." But I remember like diving to get behind the bear and to be the back of the photograph, and to be, there was always one, two, or three children, if I was in the photograph, that were, shielding me. Um, so yeah, I was laughing. I was saying your sister was definitely reluctant, Rachel. But what another thing that you brought up there, Lisa, that I thought was very important, that you touched on, was being you. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people see you, and they're kind of, oh, I couldn't be Lisa. I couldn't, I couldn't show up like Lisa, or I'm not. And that's okay, because they're not Lisa. Do you know what I mean? They're not Lisa. Or there's, I mean that it's really important. You say, you're not poised. And then sometimes I had this thing about, oh, I wasn't professional enough and whatever, all this kind of, and like the more we strip that back, and the more we are ourselves, and the more real we are. I know there's vulnerability in being real, but I just think there's a huge amount of being so authentic, you know what I mean, around being real. But there is a vulnerability around being real. But also, I think it's just, I love that saying, be yourself because everyone else is taken.
Yes. And I think that's the thing as well. It's like when we look at, like, especially in business, there, like, it feeds into sort of limiting beliefs and all this crap. But when we're trying to make ourselves, or making ourselves wrong for being ourselves, or like, like trying to just fit into a different, like, what is it? Round peg in a square
Mm,
hole or
mm,
something
mm.
like that, whatever it is. But it's like, it's pointless, because actually people are ultimately attracted to us and our businesses and our brands when we are ourselves, right? And this is like, I think as I said at the beginning of this call, like it's one of the hardest things that we will ever have to figure out how to do is be ourselves in front of an audience, be ourselves in the spotlight. It's not a natural thing. It's not something that like, and I can guarantee you, even the people who seem to have the knack of being themselves, it's a curated version of
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we kind of have to stop trying to like I don't know. I think it's like I always feel like I'm almost like see-through. I'm so transparent, I'm almost see-through. And I almost feel like in order for me to be authentic, I have to show everything and like not hold anything back. And actually, that's not true because
Yeah.
that literally would be too much. That way, like it
Mhm.
kind of has to be curated to be relevant. But like if you think about the people that you're attracted to, like if I look at two different coaches, like my own coach, who is like, her style is like loud and vibrant and
Yeah.
all like silly and like the faces she pulls are like, and then you look like you look at another coach like Melanie Ann Lair, who is like you think about an elegance and black and white and two completely different people, two completely different reasons to be attracted to somebody. But what attracts you is that they're being themselves
Mhm.
as much as they can be within their brand. Um, but I think like the starting point for that is getting in the picture, is figuring out who you are while you're in the spotlight. You can't, like I always say, coming from an acting background, you don't really know who the character is. You can't actually start figuring out who the character is until it's lights, camera, action. Until you can do all the rehearsing you want in the world, right? You can do like hours and hours and weeks and months of rehearsing in the background. But until it comes to life, when the spotlight is on, that you're not actually even approaching discovering
Yeah.
where you stand or where you start as a character in that spotlight. You're not actually coming to like when you're in rehearsals, you're exploring the truth. When the spotlight comes on, you're embodying the truth. You're starting to actually find the truth, right? And not to get too like I'm getting very analytical about it, but does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I suppose I'd love your take on one of the things that I find working with my clients and myself previously as well and it's never, I don't think it ever goes away, that fear of kind of judgment or the fear of, oh, if I get something wrong or if I put something out or being judged. Like, and I think that is one of the biggest things that people stop themselves from getting into the picture. Do you have any advice for people that, or how did you overcome that? Or
Yeah.
have you overcome
Well,
it? Or can you overcome it?
one sentence. I've already been cursing loads, so I was going to say I hope you don't mind me cursing, but you have to edit it out if you want to. One thing to sum up how you get over that is to know that nobody gives a fuck.
No.
No one is thinking about you. Like there might be some asshole, right?
Yeah,
And like you
yeah,
can only really say you're an asshole who
yeah.
will look at a picture of you and go, "Oh my God, state of her." But most of us, what do you do when you look at a picture?
You zoom into yourself. And everybody zooms into themselves.
Exactly. And if you are not in the picture, you just look at the picture and you go, oh, like, and you have feelings about whatever. But even if you do make a judgment, you're on to something else the next minute, right?
Yeah.
So nobody's thinking about you. And actually, usually, if they are, it's either because they're jealous, sorry, not sorry,
Yeah.
or and you'd be surprised at who might be jealous of you. Like you could be thinking, like, oh my God, I look a disaster in that picture, and somebody else going, oh, that dress, like, where'd she get it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
to wear something like that, or they're either jealous or they're going, oh my God, wow, amazing. And
Yeah.
again, they're on the swipe and they're like on with the rest of their lives. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. And if
And
they
the
do, it's
thing
for
and the thing that I find as well is we're so worried, and people are so worried about what other people are thinking, but nobody is meaner than themselves. Nobody will be saying anything. I mean, resembling it's just, if they worried more, not worried more, but if they helped control the narrative there, it would actually be much more empowering than being worried, because people aren't coming. No one's going to say what you say to yourself. No one. Like, there is nobody going to say that to you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like, bring it on. You can't say any worse to me than I've said to myself.
Yeah. So it's kind of start with that, because, as I say, I think a lot of it is what goes on between what you and how you control that narrative and work on that. And that sounds like, and it is work. I really do believe that it's incrementally catching something you say to yourself and not being all Pollyanna about it, kind of going, I think it's very important to allow yourself feel the feelings too,
Oh, yeah.
because like a lot of my women are women in menopause, and their bodies are changing, and it's that kind of, oh, kind of, it's not very helpful if you kind of go, oh well, dismiss it, kind of, oh well, look, aren't you lucky you use your legs or something, you know what I mean? It's you allow yourself feel what you're feeling, but it's kind of, I suppose for me, it's not allowing it stop me from doing things or achieving things or getting out there and doing things.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's like, yeah, we nobody wants to, it's not helpful to Pollyanna any situation ever. You have to let yourself feel the feelings, but it's the whole like thing, like you get what you focus on. So if you keep focusing on that negative thought, if you keep going back and back and back to it and like and insisting on seeing the bad and like not allowing yourself to actually grow, you're going to feel worse and worse and worse and worse. And so this is why the Get in the Picture campaign is so important, because it's the first step, I think, of pulling yourself out of those spirals, of those thought patterns. It's like, I've gotten the picture and I didn't die. I got in the
Yeah,
picture and
the sky didn't fall down. The sun still rose.
yeah, all those things. And it's like, and as I say, like you get what you focus on. So it's like, if you can just focus on, first, I got in the picture and I didn't die. It's like, okay, great. Now I got in the picture and actually that color looks well on me. And now it's like, I got in the picture and actually I don't give a fuck what I look like. I'm in the picture and I have the memory, and on and on and on. You can spiral upwards rather than spiral downwards. Yeah, it's just so important. And it's like you said, it's incremental. This work is probably the most important work we can do in our lives, one of the most important bits of work we can do in our lives as women, because it has such a massive effect on everything in our lives. From how we wake up feeling in the morning, to how we conduct ourselves in our businesses, to how we, like see ourselves, how powerful we allow ourselves to become. And I think it's okay to fail miserably every day to get in the picture, and to fail miserably at like, having self-worth and whatever. And but also know that, like, yeah, this is lifetime work. We're not just doing it for us. We are doing it for us.
Yeah.
The work that we're doing on ourselves in terms of this stuff is generational and will affect generations to come. And it already is affecting generations to come. And that's the joy as well for me. That is the joy when I see these young women. I'm like, yes, like like I'm glad I feel like the work that you're doing, the work that we're collectively doing, even we failed miserably, right?
Yeah.
We've failed ourselves miserably, but we're getting better and better and better. But it's having such a knock-on effect, and what it'll do for our children, our grandchildren, and beyond is just world change. Yeah.
It is. It's so, so powerful. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's been absolutely a pleasure speaking with you. Let us know where we can find you, because everybody is now going to be dying to see your photo shoot. So let us know where we can all check out your photo shoot.
So I mainly hang out on Facebook and Instagram. So on Facebook, I'm Lisa Fox, and I guess you're going to put the link into the whatever show notes or whatever you do. And then on Instagram, I'm at lisafox.ie.
Fabulous. Lisa, thank you so much. It's been an absolutely pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for showing up and getting into the picture.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to Get in the Picture with Sharon Huggard. I would love if you could rate and review the show, and please share with all the amazing women in your life who could do with getting into the picture of their life, knowing that they are enough as they are, perfectly imperfect. For more information on the Get in the Picture movement, make sure you're following me on Facebook, Sharon Huggard, and Instagram, Sharon Huggard_. Tune in next week. Chat soon. Bye.